Hello everybody, James with Love My Pups, My Breeder Supply. If you like these videos, please subscribe to them. It makes us want to do more. So, Akc Inspection. So those are the kind of words that if you've never heard of that happening before, it's kind of like the IRS are coming to visit. You know, it's like, oh my God, what's going to happen? So I just had an Akc inspection. I've had probably 5 of them over the last 15 years. Yeah, maybe a bit more than that. But anyway, I've been through a few of them, so I know what to expect. The first one worried me because you didn't know what to do. After that, it's plain sailing. So I thought, hey, this is a great time just to talk to other people, because if you're going to do much of this breeding dogs, at some point you are going to have the Akc come knock on your door. So, should you be scared? No. I think the Akc is a good organization. I've had some issues with getting some dog litter registrations done or DNA reports on dogs. The Akc has always been extremely nice to talk to, always had very helpful people. All the inspections I've had have been done by very nice people. I give them a big thumbs up. I know there are people out there who don't like the Akc. They probably don't like the Akc because they haven't done what they're supposed to do and got in trouble with the Akc, and so that can be a problem. So how do you avoid that? Well, you do sensible things. It's as simple as that. So you're going to get an email, probably, possibly a phone call to say, we're scheduling you for an Akc inspection. So they're not just going to come knocking on your door and not have you prepared for it. They are absolutely going to give you some time. In the case of this particular report here, I think I had something like 10 days prior notice. And I was like, hey, great, come on. Whenever you're ready, come see us. I mean, I didn't need to have an extension, but I mean, if you've got something that, you know, you're on vacation, whatever, I'm sure that they'll give you an extension if it's necessary. But so now let's talk about what's going to happen in your Akc visit. Well, they're going to do 2 things. This is all about what they call compliance. They want you to be compliant with what they expect of an Akc kennel, or if you're selling puppies, somebody who's got an Akc registration of a lot of puppies. They want to make sure that you are doing what you're supposed to do, and that if you need any help, they'll help you with that. They're not here to beat you over the head with a stick. It's not like the IRS. It's not like they're trying to get blood out of you. They want you as an Akc representative because they generate money off this. It's good for the whole breed. So these are nice people. They're here to help. All the ones I've had, there's been a couple of minor issues that were extremely easy to sort out. I'll talk about those here in a moment. But the point here is they're not cruel, nasty people. They're good people who care about dogs, and they care about you and what your problems might be, and will help you fix them. All right, compliance. So that's what we're looking for. And there's going to be 2 separate areas of compliance. Now remember, I'm not an Akc representative. I'm not endorsed by the Akc. They may say, look at this video and say, James Chopping doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. But I don't think they will. They're going to check your facility and they're going to check your records. Those are the 2 things that they're interested in. So let's talk about the facility first. What are they looking for in your facility? Well, they want to make sure that you have a clean, safe environment for your dogs and your puppies. So, they want to make sure that, number 1, that the place is clean. So, it needs to be clean anyway. I mean, we disinfect every day, we clean up twice a day. I had the kennel pound come around to me one time and they said, hey, your place is even cleaner than our place. So they didn't even look very much further after that. But look, it's fair enough, it needs to be clean. So, if it's not clean, bloody well get it clean, right? Get it clean before they show up. Pick the poop up. Look, if while they're there a dog craps on the floor, quite okay. Nobody's expecting a little robot to come running out and scoop the poop up. But at the same time, if they walk into the barn and it smells like urine and shit, then that's not going to be a good starting point. So, they want to make sure it's clean. They want to make sure there's adequate room for your dogs. And I don't know what that is. I know I've got a hell of a lot more room in my kennel for my dogs than what the Akc requires. But you can Google that one and find out. And this is going to be dependent on the size and the activity of a dog. You know, if you've got, big active dogs, Labradors, they're obviously going to have a lot more room than Chihuahuas. So, but they want to make sure they've got adequate room. They want to make sure that those dogs are safe. They want to make sure that your construction of your area for dogs doesn't have things that could hurt a dog. And that, by the way, is where I got into a problem my very first visit. I had a couple of wires loose on a kennel, and the AKC guy said, hey, you might want to take care of those wires there. That could get a dog in the face or the eye. And by God, he was right, and we took care of it. So he did make a note of that on the compliance report and said, customer will fix, and that was the end of that. So they want to make sure that generally that you have a safe environment. They want to make sure that the environment is going to be cooled and heated as appropriate for the time of year. You know, if it's in the winter time, do you have heaters? Do you have shade? Do you have cooling for the summertime? They're not expecting to see this as a carpeted, air-conditioned office. But at the same time, they don't want to see kennels outside in the dead of winter with snow all over the place, right? Now, again, this is breed specific. You know, if you've got St. Bernards, and I don't raise St. Bernards, but they're obviously big woolly dogs, probably like the cold weather, versus, some kind of a hairless dog that obviously needs lots of heat and air conditioning. So they want to make sure that you have the correct climate, you have the right climate control. They're going to want to know that you, every single dog, by the way, we put a plaque on that dog's cage that is the name of the dog, the date of birth of the dog, the color of the dog, vaccination record, and an emergency phone number. Look, I know my dogs like the back of my hand. There's no doubt in my mind that I don't know this information. But just put it down on a nice plaque. What I have some clear files that I stick a piece of paper in about the size of this, and that's clipped to the cage. And that way, you know, they can know that you know the dog, you know the date of birth, you can identify the dog because of the color. They want to make sure that you're not screwing up and you're using the wrong stud dog for a particular litter and getting all the paperwork and all completely wrong. So put plaques on all the cages that describes what these dogs are. All right. They want to see what you have for an exercise regime. They want to know that these dogs are getting access to exercise. You know, we have two areas. We have a physical kennel. The kennel has locked doors. The kennel itself has a locked door to it. And then there's a play area outside with a locked area to that. So we have 3 levels of security. I don't think the AKC particularly cares about this. But we have 3 levels of security. So somebody is going to, if a dog's going to get loose, it's got to get through 3 doors before we've got a problem with a dog maybe breeding some other dog it shouldn't be breeding. So, but they want to see that you have an exercise regime. So what we do is we have people who help us with all this, and they walk the dogs on a daily basis, and they get playtime in the yard. They'd like to know about that. They want to know what your emergency plans are. So emergency falls into 2 categories. One is a vet. Do you have a vet? Do you have vet or vets that know you that would be happy to take your dogs in? So get your vet information. And then the other one is contingency for inclement weather. So in Oklahoma, tornadoes is a problem. We can get heavy rain. We have a creek that runs through our property and it's fairly low. So we have had problems with flooding, and we have contingency plans because we got caught with our pants down one time. We had a huge flood that started to come up to one of the kennels, and it was going to be a problem. And so we had to evacuate very quickly. And I'm glad that we now know what we need to do and where those dogs are going to go in the event that we have a problem. Because look, you've got a structure with maybe 10 dogs in it. You can't put those 10 dogs in your house. What are you going to do? So you need to have a contingency plan. So that's a contingency plan. You need to have that. And you know, you can have it written down on a piece of paper, or you can be ready to talk about it. But they're going to ask you about a contingency plan. All right, so I think I've covered most of the things they're going to ask about. And I mean, you know, they're going to spend 30 minutes, depending on the size of your facility, to do a walk around and to look at all these things and just make sure that it's clean, sanitized, safe environment for dogs, and that they have exercise, and of course they've got fresh water and food on a daily basis, and that you're looking after their well-being, and you have a vet if necessary, and you have a contingency plan. I think that sums that part up. Okay. And then anything you're not in compliance with, they're going to discuss that with you, and they're going to give you some solutions. And they will then probably write that up on a report like this, so I've actually got two of them, because one of them is to do with stud dogs and one of them is to do with puppies. So they then give you this, and I don't know if I can read this without my glasses on. But basically this describes the place. It says who I am. It says if a warning letter 3, 4, 5, or 6 has been recommended, customers advised that AKC will not process any applications concerning them as of this date, and then a $250 re-inspection fee is required. So I didn't get any of that, but the point here is that if you're going to continue to be an AKC registered facility with AKC registered dogs, you've got to play their game. Otherwise, they're going to make you do a re-inspection, and they're not going to AKC approve any of your dogs until you've got it done. So it says, oh, that's another thing. They want to identify dogs by tattoos or microchips or other details. So I'm going to read this to you. Dogs are identified by microchips, tattoos, and detailed cage cards, and puppies are identified by pictures and coat markings. Ownership records and litter records were reviewed. The customer has 4 standing veterinarians. There are 2 buildings. Each has a 12 by 10 foot kennel with a concrete floor and doggy beds. All buildings are totally enclosed with and have climate control. Customer has dog walkers, and dogs are allowed 15 to 20 minute intervals to exercise depending on the weather. Dogs appear to be very healthy and well socialized. The kennel is very clean and maintained at the time of the inspection. Customer is in compliance with AKC care and conditions. Okay, so that was on the facility itself. So we came back with flying colors. Glad I didn't have any doubt we would. The lady her name is Rebecca, not going to give you her phone number, who did the inspection. She's out of Kansas. She does like a 4-state area. Super nice lady, so easy to get along with. And she's been breeding dogs and showing dogs for a long time. So super nice person. All right. So the next part about this is records. Records. I'm going to spell it right. Records. So what do they want to know here? So as far as puppies are concerned, they're going to say you had a litter that was a litter that was sired, whelped on this particular date. Can you tell me about puppy number 3, who it went to? So if you keep good records on this, which we do, you can go back to your litter. And by the way, the AKC provides you with a litter registration card, piece of paper that you can fill out for exactly this purpose. And on that, it asks for the name. I think it asks for their address. I think there's a place for the phone number, but it might be in the same place. And then the description of the dog. And I mean, along with its sex too, right? So, we'll put down, John Smith from Fort Smith with a phone number of 18 blah, 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 got a blue and tan girl. And of course the date this happened, right? So they're going to ask you 4 or 5 of these. If you pass on 4 or 5, they're not going to ask you anymore. If you start to have problems, then they're going to see how bad your records are, because they care that you have good records. Completely fair enough. Then they're going to ask you if you've got stud dogs. So this is puppies. And so we have a file folder for every single female. And every single female that's had a litter, we filled out the AKC's litter registration form. So these it's just a question of locating the file, going to the appropriate date, looking at the particular line, finding out which dog it is. And by the way, when I said dog number 1, dog number 2, dog number 3, when you get an AKC number for a Frenchie, it's an NP number. I think it's normally a 6-digit number. The last 2 digits always roll up depending on the size of the litter. If you had 6 puppies, they all end in 01, 02, 03, 04, 05, 06. So if they ask for the 4th dog, they're asking for the dog that ends with the number 04. So if you know that ahead of time, you look smarter, which is always a good thing. Okay. So then on the stud end of it, if you've got studs, they're going to ask you about a particular breeding, and they're going to want to know the specifics about which stud was used, what the date was, and what kind of insemination you did, and what the name of the dog that you bred to was, and what their name and address is. So similar thing. I don't know they have a form for that. I don't use the AKC form. One thing that Rebecca, the AKC rep, said was, look, you might be doing all this online on the AKC website. It's free, it's in the cloud, you can't lose the records. If your house burns down, if somebody ransacks your home, all those records are still in place on the AKC site, and it really makes registering your dogs better and easier and faster to do. So that was what she recommended us. So James, you might, in the past, if you go back a couple of years ago, the system sucked, and it did, because I tried to use it, and that's why I stopped using it. She said it's so much better now, it really works well, do it. So I'm going to start doing that. Okay, so what else? Well, remember, these people are here to help. She gave me, by the way, a bunch of litter application coupons so that I can get money off on my litter applications. I thought that was nice of her. She gave me her phone number and she said, if there's anything I can do for you, anytime, call. I thought that was nice of her. But they are not here to give you crap, they are here to help you. So don't get into a shouting match with them. If there's a problem, then discuss it. You know, if you think it's not a legitimate problem, then explain in a calm way why what you're doing to fix that problem in a different way. And if it is a problem, fess up to it and say, yeah, we need to do a better job on that, we will. And I think it's as simple as that. So it's not something that you should be scared about. It's something that you should expect to happen. If you've had one AKC visit, you will have more AKC visits. What starts you having your first AKC visits? Probably the number of puppies that you produce, if I was guessing. I mean, maybe somebody might report somebody. If somebody's doing something really shitty, maybe they get a report to the AKC and they might come and do an investigation at that point. But these are routine things. It's not because you've done anything bad. It's not because you've been doing anything particularly well. It's just because you are part of the AKC club and they want to make sure that they are doing due diligence to make sure that the rules and regulations of what we have to do to be an AKC member are being fulfilled by us. That's as simple as that. Really straightforward and easy enough. And if you have one, don't sweat it. Just get yourself in order and be ready for it with a big smile and offer them a cup of coffee and a donut. Don't bribe them and it'll all go good. So if this has been useful, subscribe to us. We'd love you to do that. Love My Pups is where you are right now, so subscribe to that. And then we've got wonderful products that we invent and use on every day, and they work beautifully well, and that's mybreedersupply.com. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.